This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WXCO Daily News Roundup for Bull Falls Radio, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau.
For WXCO News, I'm Brittany Merlot. About 200 Madison ballots from the November election weren't counted. While staff were reconciling the results and doing some cleanup, they found 193 absentee ballots from wards 56, 65, and 68. They say they found the first batch more than 6 weeks ago, on November 12th. The city clerk's office says they notified the Wisconsin Elections Commission on December 20th. The mayor's office says that's when they were notified as well. Now, these 193 ballots were not enough to change the results of any election. To prevent this in the future, the Madison City Clerk's office will be giving every polling place a list of envelope sealed numbers, so they'll be able to verify that they were all counted. Meanwhile, the mayor says they'll be starting a thorough review of the city's election policies and procedures. She said in order to keep Madison's high standards of election integrity, she's committed to, quote, taking whatever corrective action is necessary. And with gift giving over for many, now comes the time for holiday returns and exchanges. Melissa Kay has more.
While stores aren't legally required to accept exchanges or give refunds, some do. However, policies can vary greatly from store to store. If possible, know the store's policy before you buy and use your credit card. Paying with a credit card may offer additional protections for returns or disputes. Keep your receipt and packaging and always include a gift receipt with the items you give. Bring your ID to the store when you take an item to return. Some stores also require the original form of payment, so you may need help from the gift giver. If you have to make a return, do it sooner rather than later. Some stores modify their return period during the holidays. Also, watch out for return scams. Don't trust suspicious third-party return services who promise to handle the process for you. Always follow official channels and platforms with returning items.
And you can find more tips at bbb.org. When driving in dense fog where you can't see a half a mile in front of you, it can cause you to become anxious and disoriented. Most cars are equipped with fog lights. This is the time to use them, and only have the low beam fog lights on, because using your car's high beams can severely decrease your visibility even more, because the stronger beams will reflect off of the water particles in the fog and make it appear denser. Also, use your windshield wipers. They'll help keep the glass clear even if it's not raining. And turn on your defroster. Because fog occurs in high humidity, it's a good time to flip that defrost function on. And drive slow. Keep a lookout for other vehicles. Never slam on your brakes and keep a longer following distance. Now, I know this may be your first instinct as you may not feel comfortable losing sight of others. The time between you and other cars should be 9 to 12 seconds in dense fog. And if you feel disoriented, pull over to the side of the road and put your hazard lights on. And connecting all of African heritage, Kwanzaa is the newest of the winter holidays. Lisa Hale has the story.
Created in 1966, Kwanzaa honors African culture and heritage. Alfonso Simpson Jr. is the Director of African American Studies at UW-Oshkosh. Simpson says Kwanzaa is a day for all African Americans to connect to their heritage, their past, and their futures.
Giving Americans of African descent something to hold on to, because what we have always been committed to is never leaving our cultural memory or our roots. When we were taken from the continent of Africa and brought here, we were stripped of everything except our cultural memory. That could not be taken away. And so we held on to those principles.
Each day in Kwanzaa honors one of the 7 principles: unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith.
It's cold and flu season, and people with diabetes are at a higher risk of more frequent or severe infections. Melissa Kay has more.
Dr. Alex Stracarton, MD, and family medicine physician with Aspirus Health, says infections can complicate diabetes management.
When our body is infected, our metabolism can change, and oftentimes what we feel like eating or drinking changes, or what we feel like doing changes. So those who have diabetes may need to check their glucose more often, or talk to their healthcare provider about what they should be doing differently.
Dr. Tricarton recommends people stay up to date on their immunizations.
because this can not only reduce their risk of getting an infection, but if they do get that infection, it would typically be less severe if they have had the immunization for it.
He also said it's good to maintain good control of your diabetes. Have a plan with your healthcare provider to get your numbers where they need to be to keep your risk low. The easiest way to lower your risk of contracting a respiratory infection is washing your hands.
Of all the technology advances through history, perhaps the biggest impact on health is modern plumbing, where we have running water in our home and at our workplace. Washing your hands is perhaps the most important thing you can do to lower your risk of a respiratory infection.
Staying current on vaccines, maintaining good glucose control, and practicing good hygiene can help reduce the risk for those with diabetes during the respiratory virus season.
And holiday leftovers can be a favorite part of the holiday season for many, but be sure to handle them with care. Leftovers should be refrigerated within 2 hours of cooking to prevent bacterial growth. With all the holiday gatherings with family and friends happening, it's sometimes difficult to keep nutritional goals in mind. Here's Joanne Krulotz with the details.
There are steps you can take to stay on track when cookies and candies are all around. Shayna Schertz is a wellness education specialist with Gunderson Health System.
We have family gatherings and work gatherings, and oftentimes our goals are kind of pushed to the side. And so a couple of things that you can do to make your holidays easier in regards to eating is to go in with a plan. So you can go in to the party, choose what foods that you really want to eat that are special, that aren't there all year round. Have a small portion of that food and then move on. There's always tomorrow to get back on track and get back to your regular life. If you're heading out to a party, make sure that you eat a well-balanced meal first. You don't want to go into a party hungry. Second, peruse the table, choose those whole nutrient-dense foods first, and then have smaller portions of the foods that you normally can't have or normally aren't around. Cheese and crackers, you can have that any time of the year. So do you really want the cheese and crackers over the holidays, or do you want to save that for grandma's pie or something that you don't get all year round? I would map out a plan ahead of time. Again, I wouldn't not eat before you go out to a party. I would have a small snack that's balanced with protein, whole grains, get in some fruits and vegetables. And then at each party, maybe you want to aim to have X number of fruits or vegetables. And then again, just having the smaller portions of those special foods. Just trying to keep each meal that you have as nutrient rich as possible is important to help give you energy and feel energized throughout the holidays.
You're listening to WXCO News.
The Bucks drop one to the Nets. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks lost at home to the Brooklyn Nets, 111-105. Damian Lillard and Giannis both out with what's described as a non-COVID illness. Doc Rivers says the Nets defense made the difference.
I thought the pressure got to us. I thought we didn't handle it very well. They sped us up. We broke our offense.
The Bucks travel to Chicago to play the Bulls tomorrow night. NFL, Packers holding practice for Sunday's game in Minnesota. Matt LaFleur asked about the status of defensive back Jair Alexander.
It's a broken record asking you about Jair every day, but did you get to look at him today, and are his chances of playing this week better than mine?
I'd say probably not.
What's standing in the way?
His knee. He's limited with his knee.
Is it just not reacting like you want it to, or?
I don't know. I'm not a medical guy. I just go by what I see and what they tell me.
Men's college hockey, the Badgers take on Ferris State at 5 o'clock tomorrow night in the holiday face-off at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. Wisconsin 7-10-1 for the season so far.
We'll have our work cut out from us from that standpoint, but for us right now, it's us getting our book of business done this week and being focused for the puck drop, finding a way to get that game in our side of the ledger.
That's the Badgers head coach Mike Hastings. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
The film Grosse Pointe Blank did not have a funny script, according to Minnie Driver. The New York Post reports that Driver, who played the lead role opposite John Cusack, said it was a consensus on the set that the script wasn't funny, so they took it upon themselves to improvise after clearing it with the studio. I wouldn't say the improvising made the film funny. Driver most likely did not get a Christmas card from the writer of Grosse Pointe Blank. Paul Hogan's Crocodile Dundee co-star has passed away at the tender age of 90. Crocodile Heaven just welcomed one of its best actors in Bert the Crocodile, who played opposite Hogan in the charming 1980s comedy that made everyone think they could pull off an Australian accent. Bert the Crocodile died at Crocosaurus Cove, sort of like the Beverly Hills retirement home for crocodiles in Australia. Bert's acting work was commended in the Crocodile franchise, but he had trouble landing roles afterwards, probably because of either bad representation, the fact that he was never good at auditioning, or there were just not enough roles written for crocodiles. In typecasting news, actor Jared Leto will play the role of Skeletor in the new live-action film Masters of the Universe. Leto is embracing the villain role as the skeleton who is a skull-faced arch-enemy of He-Man. The Oscar-winning actor and star of Dallas Buyers Club has agreed to join the project alongside director Travis Knight. Cast members already in place include Alison Brie and Idris Elba. Leto embraces playing outlandish characters. MGM Amazon is the studio behind the film, which opens June 5th, 2026. There are those who don't think COVID was real. 1923 actress Danielle Vasanova is not one of them. Vasanova starred in 1923, the Yellowstone prequel, and she was one of the first people to suffer from COVID-19 long before it became widespread. The actress said she was diagnosed with strep throat, but shortly after, her organs shut down, and she died for 3 minutes. Vasanova will star opposite Michelle Pfeiffer in a new Yellowstone spinoff called Madison. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We have some dense fog this morning, and it's going to be cloudy, drizzly, and foggy again for a pretty good chunk of the day today. Our high right around 42. Tonight, rain likely. Could be heavy with a quarter to a half inch or more down to 34 tomorrow. Some rain mixed with light snow with a high near 38. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Current temp now 37.
That's your WXCO Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at bullfallsradio.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.